So Battlefield 6's new Haagen-Dazs base update also brought some new attachments to the game, and having unlocked them all now and used them a fair bit, I think they're pretty much all game-changing, but on different levels. Some of them are more effective than others, and I think some of them are set to become almost instant picks in some cases. Now, if you're not aware of these new attachments, then don't worry, you won't be alone. Battlefield basically didn't advertise them at all in the Season 2 roadmap, but they are easy enough to find and unlock. So head into the Challenges menu and then the Seasons tab, and then click Season 2 at the top, and you'll see them on screen. You have to unlock them in a certain order. They're not individually available, but it shouldn't take you too long. So these new attachments are the Violet Laser, the Tac Light Hip and the Tac Light Aimed, the Thermal Sight, and the Flash Compensator. 5 new attachments for you to get your hands on. The laser and both tac lights, they are unlocked together as a bundle, but then the Thermal Sight and the Flash Compensator are unlocked in separate stages. The requirements to unlock them aren't particularly difficult. You can track them if you like, so you can quickly check your progress during matches, but really, I think just playing the game, you're going to unlock them. Now, we're going to explore what each of these new attachments does in this video today, and then at the end, I'm going to recommend a few different loadout builds for different guns that I think take advantage of these, and they give you weapons that are going to be really effective after this update. Okay, let's get into these new attachments then. First up, the new Violet Laser. Now, on the surface, you might be thinking, it's just a new laser with a different color. Well, no, it's not. It's completely different. Quite honestly, I think this attachment has been created and balanced with Battlefield 6's new Haagen-Dazs base map purely in mind, and maybe a couple of the smaller base game maps too. The Violet Laser is a new semi-movement option for you, giving you minor improvements to ADS accuracy whilst you're moving. So when you're aimed down your scope and strafing around, perhaps sweeping across a doorway or moving around behind cover, this laser is going to give you an ADS movement buff. Now, the reason I think this new Violet Laser is an almost instant pick for your mid-range weapons like assault rifles and carbines is because of the benefit that it gives you in comparison to its cost. If we look at the blue lasers over here, both of these cost 20 and 30 points respectively. Those previously were the ways to get your ADS movement buff in addition to better hipfire accuracy. Now, the Violet Laser only gives you the ADS movement buff without the hipfire benefits, but it costs 10 attachment points less. You're trading an additional stat buff for half the cost. And for weapons that you'd normally use at mid-range, your assault rifles, your carbines, etc., realistically, how often were you likely to feel the benefit of the blue laser's hipfire buffs? Probably not as much. You're definitely feeling the ADS accuracy buffs more on assault rifles and carbines. Now, as I said earlier, this means the Violet Laser is now a perfect attachment for Haagen-Dazs base, mixing close and mid-range gunfights, giving you a healthy ADS movement buff whilst you're strafing around, trying to avoid incoming enemy fire. But additionally, this Violet Laser, despite you being able to see it on your screen when it's attached to your gun, enemies can't see the laser, whereas they can see the blue laser, which is what you had to use before. This again, on Haagen-Dazs base, a darker map with areas where perhaps you don't want to attract attention. Well, now you won't with this new laser option. Enemies can't see it. For the cost of just 10 attachment points, this is something that you're going to be able to easily build into a lot of your loadouts. Maybe tuning down an underbarrel to shave off 5 points there, or dropping a magazine capacity for another 5 points there, and suddenly you've got the spare points for this new Violet Laser, and you've built a proper ADS movement focused weapon. Next up, we've got the Flash Compensator. This is the last new attachment that you unlock, but again, I think it's going to enter a lot of loadouts very quickly. And this, again, has a lot to do with the cost of the attachment and the benefits it gives you compared to some of the already established options in the muzzle category. So, the new Flash Compensator costs 20 attachment points and combines the effects of the current Flash Hider, the 10 attachment point Flash Hider, and a Compensator. It stops you from being 3D spotted when you fire your weapon, and it reduces some of the recoil of the weapon that it produces when you fire. It's much easier to explain this actually if we bring up Battlefield 6's new in-depth stats that are built into the loadout menu, extremely helpful. Thank you, DICE. So you can see here, with no muzzle equipped to this weapon at all, there are 2 red values in the table that show if you fire your weapon, you will be 3D spotted and you will be 2D spotted on the minimap. This is why you see so many people using suppressors on their weapons in Battlefield 6, because they completely remove the 3D spot, red diamond, that appears above your head when you fire, and it removes you off the minimap when you're firing unless enemies around you are inside 21 meters or so. That greatly reduces your visibility to enemy players. However, to get these suppressors on your weapon, especially the best one, the lighten suppressor, which also provides some reductions to recoil as well, you have to spend 30 attachment points to equip it. The new flash suppressor only costs 20 points, giving you the reduction in recoil, and it keeps you from being 3D spotted, so you don't get that red diamond above your head when you fire your weapon. It doesn't remove you from the minimap when you fire, however, so enemies that pay attention to their minimap will still be able to see you when you fire your gun. But this comes at a reduced cost of 20 points, meaning you now have an additional 10 more points to play with, and maybe you can add another attachment to your weapon, perhaps that new violet laser that we were just talking about. Essentially, you get the reduced recoil benefits of the best suppressor in the game, traded out for visibility on the minimap when you fire, at a 33% reduction in attachment cost. That's a pretty decent trade if you ask me. Now we've got two new tack lights to talk about. Both of these unlock at the same time as the violet laser, and I think one of them is great, and one of them is really weird, and I don't understand why you'd use it. So let's start with the good one, the tack light aimed. This one, as the name suggests, is a tack light that only turns on when you're aiming down at your sights. This makes it perfect for blinding your enemies at the precise moment that you're looking to do damage against them. The light is super bright, and a lot of the time, you're going to win gunfights because enemies won't be able to see you properly. This one costs just 5 attachment points, which means it's almost a freebie attachment to throw onto your weapon if you've got additional point space. Then we've got the tack light hip, and this one I don't really understand. As the name suggests, it's a tack light that is only turned on when you're in hip fire, which is all of the time unless you're aiming down your weapon, when it then turns off. Why would you want a tack light that visually broadcasts your location and then it turns off when you ADS? I mean, unless you're like a corner camper who's like permanently ADS'd maybe? I don't know. It does slightly help your hipfire recovery stats, but honestly, I think I'd probably just like unbind my ADS key if I was going to use this so I couldn't ADS, and then the light is on all the time and I'd get that hipfire benefit and I'd just blind everybody when I shot at them, but I could never ADS, so I'd have to be really, really close to them. I just don't know if I really see the benefit of this. And it costs 15 attachment points, which is 3 times as much as the previous tack light, which I think is infinitely more beneficial to you. I actually think that DICE might have got the attachment costs wrong in this case. They've got them the wrong way round here, because the tack light aimed feels like the default pick right now at just 5 attachment points, and its benefits massively outweigh the cost of having it equipped. Whereas on this one, it's the other way around. So maybe there'll be an update in the future to rebalance these costs, but honestly, if you're going to use one of these 2 tack lights, I'd use the aimed one. And then we have the new optic, the new thermal RDS, the first thermal optic in the game with just a 1x zoom. Again, I think this attachment is very much aimed at the new Häagen-Dazs base map with its darker areas, but it's the new attachment with the greatest cost. It's 35 attachment points, this thing, so you're going to have to make some significant changes to your current loadouts in order to accommodate it. It's actually a hybrid optic. That means that you can turn the thermal overlay on and off, giving you a clear red dot sight in brighter areas, and then you can flick on thermals when it gets darker. So you're essentially getting 2 optics for the price of 1, but not really, because the price of 1 is super expensive. 35 attachment points. Here's what the optic looks like flicking between the thermal on and off, so you can see the visibility benefit it could provide you in those darker areas, but is it really worth the cost here? Well, in order to equip this thermal optic, you're going to have to massively scale back the effectiveness and cost of your other attachments, so there's no space for that new flash compensator anymore. You might as well remove a violet laser, downgrade your magazine to something with less capacity, maybe equip a worse barrel on your gun to reduce even more cost. That's massively impacted the stats of your weapon, just so you can see with a thermal optic. I'm going to argue the case here that despite this optic offering you something that up until this point Battlefield 6 hasn't given you, being able to flick between thermals and normal vision at a 1x zoom, I just don't think it's worth it. You're going to impact the effectiveness of your build so much that weapons will almost have to reduce right back to their basic level, ones that really don't help them perform as well as others if they went without a thermal. This optic does have like a nice wide view on it. It's bigger than some of the other 1x optics in the game. Loads of space within it so you can see things, but again, is that worth potentially 25 attachment points more than just using one of the regular 1x optics already in the game? Personally, I don't think it is. And then there's kind of like a 6th hidden attachment at the moment, but you can't use it. It's the magnifier in the optic accessory category. We've not heard anything official from DICE or Battlefield Studios about this, but if you go onto the DRS IAR, whatever it's called, the light machine gun that looks like an M4, go onto that, go into the optic accessory category, and you can see the magnifier right there. I don't think we're supposed to be able to be seeing this, but it's there, and I think we can assume that it will turn up a later part of Season 2, maybe in Phase 3, when we get the operations mode. But the last time we actually saw a magnifier in the Battlefield franchise was all the way back in Battlefield 4. I remember first seeing it in some trailers for the game on the U100 Ultimax, which we know here in Battlefield 6 as the KTS LMG. So it was nice to see that back in the game, and it essentially does exactly what it says on the tin. It's just going to magnify other optics that you equip into that primary slot. But as I said, at the moment, it is locked away. You can't use it yet. I do actually think most of these new attachments will become staples of people's loadouts in Battlefield 6. That violet laser is already on most of my ARs and carbines right now, and the flash compensator giving us that middle ground between a flash hider and a proper suppressor in terms of benefits. That just feels like a must-use. But I did promise a couple of builds that would be most effective with some of these new Season 2 attachments, so here we go. I've got a VCR build here, one of the new Season 2 weapons, probably one of the best in the game at the moment, and we're using the new violet laser, aim tac light, and flash compensator here. That gives us greater ADS movement accuracy. We've got a light to blind our enemies when we ADS, and it gives us a bit of additional hipfire accuracy from the flash comp if we are surprised in close quarters. I've then put the alloyed vertical grip on here for further reductions to recoil, with 0 downsides, by the way, and then a 30-round mag for snappy, just above 2-second reload speeds. This is perfect for mid-range combat, and I think right now, with the focus on Season 2's maps, it's perfect for Contaminated and Häagen-Dazs base. If you want something a bit more focused on close quarters combat, then I would highly recommend the new CZ3A1 SMG, another brand new weapon for Battlefield 6. This one suits maps like Siege of Cairo and Häagen-Dazs base really nicely, with those tighter fights happening all the time. Here, we're going to use the new aimed tac light for blinding enemies when we ADS, paired with the 20-point blue laser for greater hipfire benefits and a bit more ADS accuracy and movement. But the laser is visible to enemies, so bear that in mind. Light barrel for generally faster and more snappy movement whilst in ADS and transitioning to ADS. The standard suppressor, since you can't equip the new flash compensator onto SMGs, you're going to miss out on the additional hipfire benefits here, but it's a limitation of what weapons can be used with the new flash compensator, so balance reasons. And then we've got the 35-round mag along with the mag catch. I haven't unlocked the 35-round fast mag yet, but that would be better than using the 35-round mag standard with the mag catch. And then lastly, if you are absolutely dead set on trying to use the new thermal optic, then here's a suggestion that could work for you. The AK-205 has some pretty low recoil and spread values in Battlefield 6. You don't really need additional attachments to help with those statistics. So you can throw the thermal optic on here and you can use up 35 points alongside a bigger magazine. I've got the 40-round fast mag here, and you can also put the new flash compensator on here to stop you being 3D spotted and giving you a little bit more additional hipfire accuracy. This is a slower firing overall weapon, so don't expect to win most gunfights up close, but if you keep it mid-range, take advantage of those inherent low recoil traits, and use the thermal optic to see enemies off further into the distance, you might see some decent success with this gun. So those are the new attachments in Season 2. Let me know your thoughts on them down below in the comments, and maybe drop some loadouts that you've been running with these things. I'm really wanting to kickstart a proper loadout series here on the channel. I said I'd do it before, and I didn't, and I failed you. But I'd love to do that now and work with you guys in building some effective builds, as well as some more obscure edge cases as well. Thanks very much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you soon.